Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I am Kwando Kakanzane. We are back. It's going to be a weekly thing.
Episode 2 of Season 2 of Discovery called New Eden. Saw it last night, and I gotta say, it kind of feels like Star Trek to me.
And again, this is our first shorter review. We'll do a full live reaction tonight, which will be a scene-by-scene breakdown like we normally do. Way more specifics, way more technical. This is just our first talking. We haven't talked about it yet. So, I mean, I'm sort of mixed on it. I'm kind of confused, so I really want to hear your thoughts. Because as I was doing the notes for it the second time, I kept finding things. So I want to hear your thoughts, and I'll go into what I think.
I loved it. There was maybe like 2 or 3 things that were kind of like, huh? I'm a little confused, but overall, I have theories and things for those, so that's fine. But this one felt very, very much like an episode of TOS. You know, in TOS, they're always finding like human-like colonies, human-like beings on different planets, and parallel development and stuff like that. So this felt very TOS to me, or even TNG. It was one of those episodes where it felt Star Trek. They're doing exploration. They're finding strange things, you know, strange new worlds, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. There was very little that I could nitpick in this one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot the first viewing, but then as my brain's considering it, it's breaking down in my head with the classic Discovery problems that they are obviously transitioning to season 2. But yeah, it's definitely a more trope-filled episode, but they are Trek tropes. Whereas season 1 was all about death, war, killing, and stupid mistakes, this episode was filled with the Trek tropes, and it certainly used them better than they've used them before, and it was directed by Jonathan Frakes, so the feel was a lot more Trek, and he clearly brought that. Someone said online that, you know, it wasn't as frenetic, it was far more stable and relatably shot. But yeah, I enjoyed it as a very raw episode. It was a very good, like, it's like sort of like Beyond. It was a better done alternate Trek, but still had lots of the problems that its version of Trek has.
Overall, I liked the extended ship shots. We start out with the ship. We see the ship quite often with long, nice shots.
Yeah.
Well lit, by the way. They're not dark. They're not mucky. They're done like Star Trek.
Sure, they cut to ship.
Yeah.
Just throw away ship shots. They're beautiful. Brilliant.
And instead of cutting to shit like season 1, they cut to ships this time.
Beautiful. All of them are nice. And okay, the ship
and
still isn't well proportioned, but it makes it look at least like a Trek ship, which is kind of important.
I think they shortened the nacelles. I really do, because anyway.
Well, we can do that as a video maybe, because we've now got enough shots of the ship to maybe pull that out.
Yeah. Also, the fact that I got to know some of the other bridge crew, they had more than a couple syllables of lines, and I really enjoyed that, getting to know the Helms lady a little bit better, and the other lady that went out with them on the away team. Dittmer is the Helms woman. I finally remember her name. The other lady, I can't remember her name, even though it was said a few times.
Yeah, I wrote it down because it's quite an interesting name. It's when you gotta learn. Ushakam.
Yeah.
You gotta learn it to learn it.
Yeah, exactly. And there were some good comedic beats that weren't overly done. They were just perfect for Star Trek. Fit in beautifully. And I think the dialogue and characterization was pretty well done. Wasn't a huge fan of Burnham through most of it. There were a few instances where she surprised me a little bit, and they're trying to lighten her character, I think. Kind of soften it a little bit.
Yeah, and you can tell that they've put themselves into a bit of a corner of she's the primary lead, so she has to be involved in everything, even if she doesn't have necessarily the best reason to be there. It's like she's not necessarily doesn't need to be in that away team. She doesn't need to be, but she does because she's plot. You know what I mean? It's weird to see her in every scene because she's not she's not that crucial, or she shouldn't be.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I mean, overall, I thought it was great.
The story.
The story was very interesting. Yeah, I have no issues with it at all. There's one scene when Tilly's cutting off a piece of the asteroid, and the computer's like, we need to, be more careful or whatever. I forget what the computer said.
Yeah.
And she went into this long line of exposition about why she needs this for Stamets and all this. And it's like, who are you talking to? Are you talking to yourself? Because the computer doesn't care. If there was another character there, fine. But it's just exposition just spewing out.
Tilly's starting to bug me. She was bugging me last episode, but she's bugging me even more. She's a production character, no longer a character. It's quite frustrating. But shall I get into what I like specifically?
Yes.
Beauty shots, great. Definitely a more Trek story. I love that we're giving Pike stuff to do. Okay, episodes are simpler now, but it gives them more time to breathe. So we're allowed to take our time in the primary plot. Even if lots of things go quite quickly and there's sort of wasted scenes, it's still like we get to look at this place a bit more, this planet, and get to listen to their society a bit more and get a greater sense of it, which in season 1 they just didn't really focus on. And that's the stuff that Trek does well. A lot of the time it's like, give us a sense of this culture. The story was interesting, and it's definitely leading into the greater plot, but how the characters connected with it, I had a problem with, slightly.
This felt very episodic, yet at the same time tying into that overarching season arc. But
Yes.
I think it was very well done.
Yep.
But it's definitely one you could watch on its own, and it did have that
Yep.
TOS episodic vibe. So
And
kudos to them for that.
And at the same time, they episodically are building the characters. So this is how season 1 should have been: single stories with a greater arc, each one leading. But although it'd be a bit silly if each episode they save people specifically, they're brought in to save somebody. That get a little bit tiresome. You can't do it 6 episodes in a row. I know that the Red Angels are putting them places, but we jump in just to save people every single time. It's like, you're making them be heroes by forcing them to be heroes.
Yeah, I think that ties into the overall story points or the story arc for the season, though. I have a feeling that these Red Angels are testing the Federation. They might have become aware of them through the use of the mycelial network, and now they're like, okay, we're going to test these guys. We're going to bring them to this situation, see how they react to it. Are they worthy? One of those situations, because that's very much a trope in Star Trek as well.
Yeah,
testing
totally
the human
possible.
species. Yeah,
and that'd be better. That should certainly be better than they're trying to destroy all life in the universe. That's just killer, maddy for all. Having at least be we're doing it for a vaguely understandable reason. That depth is quite important. It's great. Now, obviously, these could be nitpicks, but when it's all the science stuff, and that stuff's written in a certain way to make sense, if it doesn't make sense, that's 100% the fault of the writers. So when it comes to the first signal, the transmit, and this is I wrote it as quote. So the transmission is too faint to determine its exact coordinates. Tilly says we can modulate the Discovery's deflector to create gravimetric distortions like sonar. Okay, and then they say, the red signal is too far to register, and so Burnham suggests let's go to warp for 5 seconds.
No,
and then. Well, no. She says warp briefly.
Let's get closer, and then Pike said, "Let's go to warp for 5 seconds."
Yes. So she said. So, does anyone really believe that 5 seconds of warp is going to make any difference to long-range sensors of the ability to detect this or not? And there's no reason she would know that distance. He doesn't know how far it is. You would say, "Okay, go to warp, and as soon as we can detect it, we'll jump out of warp." It's a stupid scene of. It's dumb dialogue, doesn't make sense. If you're that close, you're already that close. Well, it might be like 1 light year closer, and then she hasn't even told him how close you need to be to determine. Says 5 seconds is arbitrary, and it's just like, it's a padding scene. It was 50,100 light years away. 5 seconds at max warp makes no difference.
Yeah, the 5 second thing is oddly specific and didn't need to be there. That line could have been easily fixed, as you said.
Yeah.
Just
get closer. Just leave it random. Just
go to top warp until we are in sensor or scanning range or whatever.
So as soon as they add that bit, it breaks that scene down. Yeah. Every time we see the shuttle bay, the doors are always open, and the which is dumb, and the asteroid's never in the bay either. The VFX guys forgot to put it in when it goes to warp. Although the warp, I'll give them great kudos, because now it goes to warp and it ends in a star. So actually flares. Yay. I don't remember ever seeing that in season 1, so good job for them. I like they mentioned the 150 years to get there. That probably does make sense. Like, they probably did that math calculation, but that will give us an exact how fast the ship can go, which would kind of be nice to eventually that calculation. I like that this is both a problem and a good thing. I like that Pike didn't know about the spore drive specifically. He knew it had it. He didn't know how it worked. So it is still classified.
Yeah.
And captains shouldn't know how it works, which is good for the future. and he does, complain that it makes no sense. They just, whatever, just
Well,
do
yeah.
it. It's fine. It doesn't make sense, but okay, whatever. That's good. It's fun. That's a good. That's
Yeah,
good format.
I like how when they say he injected himself with tardigrade DNA, Pike's like,
What?
tardigrade? Like these
What?
little microscope, what? Yeah, so that was awesome. And then the scene where, if you can tell me this ship can skip across the universe on a trail of
Field of
mushrooms,
mushrooms.
I'm gonna have to believe you. So it was just
Yep.
awesome. Again, building Pike's character and a good sense of humor there. I loved it. And then the jump and the whoa. Yeah, you never forget your first one. I thought that was
the
really
humor,
well done.
the light tone was well done, and I like Saru's now. He's not being a dick to people. He's everyone's allowed to be lighter now. It does help a lot. But I like that he just Pike just told what the audience had been thinking for 2 years. It's like, yeah, that's dumb. Not even a man from that time, but it thinks it's a sensible idea. So good, yay. I love they use the view screen properly as a view screen. Although they enhanced it from a thing to a planet, but I thought they had the new cameras for that, or the old cameras. It's weird they just ignored, they invented new technology to show it, and then they just used normal zooms. I thought it was a little bit funny, but I mean, Archer did it too, but that's because it was a view. So both good and bad there. Yeah, I like how they beamed in straight into the complex, and then scanned for life signs. She says, no one's here. Dudes, don't beam into the middle of the... They're not smart.
I noticed
Again,
that too.
There's lots of little things that are not smart. And they say, set phase to stun. Should already be on stun. That shouldn't be a command you necessarily have to give.
It should
I
have
do
been
like...
done before they transported, to be honest.
Yeah, it's seen little things like that. But I do love the World War III connection. That's great. I mean, the reason for them being there, I think, is wonderful. And we were wondering, would they be going to the past? Would they be going, the idea that this thing saved them is real interesting. Because well, you're right, I like I didn't consider the test thing, but are they trying to grab something from these places? I mean, what is the point of all this? And was this plan set up 200 years ago?
Well, that's what the season's going to find out, why they did this. So
that was real interesting. Although I wondered, why was the lady telling them the story when everyone on the planet knows their story? I know it's like the greeting, but you're from the planet.
That happens in TOS and in TNG all the time. We're from the south, we're from the north, we're from a different colony.
That was a good reference.
Tell us the story
that we've all been taught since birth. Yeah.
They don't know. There was 11 different colonies, and there was 11,000 people or something.
11,000. Yeah.
So it's not necessarily you would know each colony's history, because if they're spaced far enough apart, you know that they're from. I know.
They all came from the same church, though. Wasn't that the point?
But it's 200 years later. You don't necessarily pass those stories on to your kids, so these people might not have.
But these people
learned
came
the story.
They came from 2050. They're not primitives. They came from future Earth with all that knowledge, technology. So they're enlightened people, and they didn't lose any of that. So they would be like, well, yeah, we're gonna write our books. I mean, we can make we can make books. So I don't think that could. And obviously, you see the books. They're still using cobbled together religious manuals from other books, which is still. So I don't think they could lose that knowledge. It was just exposition for.
They're saying that church is the one that got beamed. That's the one where everybody made the pilgrimage to learn the history. And since the lights went out, the people have stopped coming, or less and less. So it just could be that they're just.
So you're saying that it's more just like you guys are shit at school, sort of thing.
Could be. It could be. Yeah, it's an easily explainable thing. So I don't find it nitpicky at all. I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing when they were saying it, but I thought the same thing in Voyager, and TNG, where we're from a different province, but we don't know.
It's just a classic TV trope. That's all it is. But it's just like, it doesn't make it right, but it makes it a thing that you always have to do. It's just a little bit funny. The Tilly character's starting to get a bit strange for me, because you can tell that they thought that they knew the audience loved her, so they're throwing a lot of her at us, but she's not acting like she did in season 1. She's obviously. It's very like, look, you love her, here's more of her. I don't understand how a cohesive resonator to work with a spore drive could, because the point of Stamets is that he's twofold. He can link with the network thanks to tardigrade, but it uses his brain as the supercomputer. That's the point. You can't navigate the network without the supercomputer of a creature, of a living creature. So resonator with a dark matter navigation resonator would. I mean, it might be able to let you do small jumps, but you wouldn't actually be able to actively utilize it. So the fact that he thought that is a problem / I mean, yes, okay. I mean, it's still really useful if they can get like to the next system, sure, and then all ships can have that. So yeah, it's good as like a everyday tool maybe, and that would solve that problem. But it wouldn't. You'd lose the ability to go, well, this story, go to the beta quadrant, which is cool. Just jump up there.
But the thing that really bothered me about the Tilly thing was the fact that here she is doing this by herself, gets injured. Sarah comes down to talk to her, and she's like, has this jeopardized my, command program thing? He's like, no, you're the youngest one, blah, 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 just be more smart. And then I'm thinking, and look at what you did in Runaway. You actually harbored a fugitive, didn't tell anybody, a dangerous alien life form, which people called out when we did our review of Runaway. It's not something that somebody in the command training program would do. And she was in the command training program for Runaway. We don't know when it happens chronologically, but she's done that mistake. She's now tried to do this scientific thing by herself. Just stupid decisions. And I understand she might be trying to prove herself, but she's not doing it the right way.
Well, my note for that was you learn how to be who you need to be with life experiences. She hasn't got any life experiences. She was out of the academy extra early, put on this ship where she was given one role. It went dark, it went mirror, it went war, end of story. She doesn't have those life experiences to give her the ability to command. She really doesn't. And so I don't see why Starfleet would even give her command training. She hasn't done anything in a commanding way that would give her that. It's just a plot thing. And like you say, she's making mistake by mistake because she hasn't got, there's a reason you don't become captain from ensign. Look at Kirk in 09 or Kirk in His Darkness.
Yeah.
And then look at Kirk and Beyond a bit better. I mean, there's a reason you don't do that. So no, she shouldn't be captain for another 20 years. And so it's a very strange plot they're giving her because it's just like, well, you like Tilly, here's lots of Tilly. It's like,
she is still going to take 20 years to be captain just because she's in the command training program and she's just training for command early on. Doesn't mean she's going to rise through the ranks from like lieutenant to captain.
It's true. But then imagine if she passes that and she's like, oh, what next? Well, you have to wait 15 years. Like, she's doing it for the momentum, but then she'll just be an ensign with a command tick. But it's one step closer to captaincy. I know, but do it when you're like, if she can pass it at ensign, then she's like the best captain in all of Starfleet, potentially. But that's why you do it when you're older, because you've got those experiences. So I think the Tilly character kind of doing weird. Although that said, I called that the lady was not real instantly because the way they shot it. But that was like, ooh, that's interesting. So I'm like, good. Tilly, okay, now I'm intrigued. Now I'm interested in the Tilly storyline.
Yeah, and when she's having the conversation about the asteroid and she had espresso in sickbay, that scene. I really enjoyed that scene because it was funny. But at the same time, it's like you're talking to yourself. It's quite obvious that you're the genius that figured this out. Your friend there is just. Yeah, it stood out like a sore thumb, but I have a couple theories on that, but we'll talk about that later.
She can't just be in Torn Stamets. He'll just talk about Hugh. She can't be in the bridge. No reason to be in the bridge. Do we introduce new characters? Well, you know what I mean. The way they've she was a very specific character in the first season, and they used her very very well, but they've swapped the tracks with her a bit, and she's not quite designed for that as a character. So they're trying to evolve her very radically, very quickly.
If that's the reason, though, they should have had a nurse in sickbay that she was babbling to, and the nurse is like,
yeah, that would have been funny.
Yeah.
But obviously, this would be a big plot thing, so that's fine. But like I said, I think it fixed your torn to herself problem. Or just concussion, because she'd get knocked out pretty badly, and that was a real bad. Luckily, medical science can fix anything, and that's fine. But I
love how things take time, though. Your ribs are going to be sore for a few days. Michael Burnham's leg in the last one's going to take 2 hours to knit together. So, I mean, that's cool that it's not like instant fixed.
What do you think of the ending then about giving the dude the power coil, getting the helmet? Obviously spoiled the helmet stuff with trailers and stuff, but the ending, the next step.
I had no issues with it. I know a lot of people are going to scream Prime Directive, but Pike was hard. Well, I love how they didn't call it the Prime Directive. They called it General Order 1, which is what they did in TOS. So I'm glad they didn't mention Prime Directive specifically. That was I was waiting for them to screw that up. It would have been a minor screw up, but anyway. So, and the fact that just the whole scene where Burnham comes in and talks to him to kind of convince him to talk to Jacob was cool, especially where he's like, don't make me laugh. We're Vulcan. I was raised on Vulcan. We don't do that. That was just hilarious. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's called good writing.
Yes, and good character development.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he went down to see Jacob, I really appreciate that fact. That's something I could see Archer doing. That's something I could see Kirk doing. That's something I can see pretty much every captain doing. Maybe not Picard so much, but
Actually, that's an interesting question. I don't know if everyone. Oh, that's interesting.
Archer would have for sure. Kirk would have for sure.
If he had easy beaming, because like, a shuttle pod would make that way more complicated. So the stealth nature, it was super important to that bit.
Yes.
But Kirk possibly. I also thought the ending was great. I like that he was so anti, because we never actually get in Trek genuine from the time they're from early humans, as in post us. So like World War III is a very specifically canon time. Transplant, they're humans. They're so close to Zephyr and Cochrane, so close to that moment, But they're still proto-warp. I love that idea. Like they are us. They are, but they're not. That's a nice little small go, because all the TOS ones are always influenced by us, but they're aliens. These are truly us. So that I thought was quite cool. But yeah, do that trade was a nice scene. I thought it was really well played. I mean, yeah, that Jacob guy. I mean, interestingly played as an actor. I mean, how difficult would it be? Your descendant. You're 200 years. That's what's 8 generations. But you'd know his dad might have known the people that landed, if they still have good medical knowledge. Like if one really good doctor is in that group, they probably know the medicines, potentially how to make. You know what I mean? Like it's not that long ago in terms of knowing people. So he was taught by his dad, who's taught by his dad how to use this stuff. And so it's interesting to then, he's the only guy in this settlement that's trying to do like tech stuff and try and fix stuff and keep and now I love that they now have power. I mean, that's something you could see Jacob finding. Like he could bullshit his way into that, just saying, "Oh yeah, I found a route that did a thing," and they already had the tech. It's just the power. So I thought that was a very and now Jacob can feel free to not worry and live to the best life and possibly make the tech active again and help their lives a bit. So I thought that one was real sweet.
I also think it's interesting that Jacob, the head of the community, who was kind of more into the religious aspect of it, so the religious, the scientific, and then a child were the ones that saw all three of them beam up. So the kid's going to pass on that story, I'm sure. The religious leader is going to take her vibe on it. She already said that the angels came before them. And then, of course, Jacob knows what's going on. So it's an interesting... From that moment on, it's going to decimate down through the ages, that story.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bad thing, I think. Because that could go wrong.
But it's nice that it wasn't their fault. It was Discovery's fault, but they didn't know. It was a good, accidental. Yeah. So I kind of like that. And I love that Burnham said at the end, I've learned that I have to follow Captain's orders because it goes wrong if I don't.
Yes.
Good. You're learning. Don't trust your gut always. Because it shows she's not the best thing ever. She has to deal with people that are better than her job. That's a good sign.
That's why
the captain's the captain. Yeah, exactly. Although on last night though, before we jump out and do other videos, I do want to say they're trying hard on certain things, but still sort of coming short. They brought Ushakam on the mission because she's got this backstory and she can blend in, but she didn't serve any part in the storyline on the planet except to let them out of the thing. She didn't actually add anything. She only had 6 lines. I was really disappointed. I was like, she's in every scene, but she wasn't given any lines. I was like, that's really
it was still better treated than she was in all season 1.
Certainly, but they specifically called out her ability to blend in. I don't know what it even means, but they didn't use any of it. So I was kind of really disappointed because that was her chance to shine, and whereas the helmsperson in her job shined, but Ushakam didn't do anything. I was like, oh.
She was raised in a Luddite collective, which Luddite means non-technological. So she could relate to the more primitive aspect. So, but yeah,
they gave all that dialogue to Pike, which is fine, but she was brought there for a reason. Let her do something. That's why it would have been cool if it was just her and Pike. That would have been a more interesting dynamic, just those two, because didn't need Burnham for anything. She didn't also do anything except be the science one. But Ushakam would have done that. She says she's a non-believer. She can do the same thing. Give her, and then you can add Burnham and Tilly and all the Stamets stuff. But small thing, but it's they tried but didn't quite do what they were trying to do. I guess they were realizing that we don't actually know who she is as a character. So how do we write character dialogue for her in the scene where we don't know who she is? Let's just give it to Pike. You know.
Yeah. Well,
Which is
yeah,
fine.
we need to build Pike because he's going to be here for one season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We should quickly talk about the radiation thing before we cut out.
Oh yeah, the entire end part of the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well handled. It was odd that it was kind of crashing down at the exact same moment, but for an extinction level event. But I think that ties in with the Red Angels being a test.
It was the
things
point.
like that.
It was the point. Yeah.
And the fact that they're like, we have 2 minutes and 30 some odd seconds to do this, and Stamets is like, I can do it.
Yeah.
And Sora's like, do you want to run? Because,
Yeah, that was nice.
I thought that was hilarious because usually it's so lackadaisical in Star Trek. Like, we have this much time. Okay, let's do it.
And they didn't side-to-side beam. They could have. In the Discoveryverse, you just can. So they didn't do that. Whereas in JJ, when Karen Marcus is running, you're just thinking, bridge. This is Marcus. So, that felt much more integrated, which was good.
So it was a great solution to the problem, too. They dumped that asteroid, so it's gone now. But it was like
weird.
it was there for a purpose. Because it's like the Angels drew them to the asteroid field to get the dark matter, and then they drew them there to see if they'd use that to solve the problem.
Yep.
And I thought that was interesting, to say the least. And that scene, that scene with the Discovery pulling that thing, that was beautiful. That was such a great scene.
And they kept on it for a long time. It was just like that. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the moment. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Well, they're 60 minutes, right? And they cut to moving 4 minutes, and no one's done anything. Like, no one has had any ideas, no plans. Then he comes in, I've got an idea. It's like, so none of you had any ideas. It's like, come on, guys. At least be... Why so still in the chair? Like, have to do something. Small thing.
That's the other aspect I wanted to draw attention to that I'm probably going to talk about more in the live, obviously.
Yeah.
But when Stamets comes on the bridge and it says, I heard there was a problem.
Yes.
How did he? I think I think because of the mycelial jump, he knew that what was going on.
Yep.
And I think that also ties in with Tilly's friend. But I'll talk about that more in the live chat.
100%. 100%.
I have some theories on that.
Yeah, they're being given... That was very deliberate, because there's no reason he should have known that. He's not even useful in the situation unless he knew the answer. 100%. And this is one of those things that this is a nice... That's how you do foreshadowing better. It's clearly something, but you don't know what it is. Whereas Vok and Giorgio, it's a bit more blatant. And the Mirror, a bit more blatant, is slightly better done. Even though it's still a thing, you can also miss it if you're not really paying attention.
Yeah.
So I certainly agree. And they saved the people. I mean, good job. But like you say, it was clearly they were brought there because that was caused to kill them all. And so it was kind of like a...
Yeah. But that being said, if you don't watch the rest of the season, and this is just one episode you watch out of many, it's episodic. It's everything. All the problems are kind of solved.
Yeah.
If you don't not worried about the Red Angel thing, you could watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. So your overall number then, Stuart? Or do we do
this one? Oh. I'm gonna give this one a 9.5.
Oof.
It was really good. It had they brought back the ship shots. There was a great A-B plot and a very TOS feeling, very Star Trek feeling. Good characterization. I loved it.
It was Trek structured.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was bright. Mostly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna give it an 8.9.
Ooh, that's
8.5. Because I had lots of little problems, and you can't, because they're important script things, and they were done there on purpose, but the majority's good. But I'm really intrigued because, like I said, I was confused. I think you've sold me a bit more on it to just not care. But we are here to analyze the small things. That's what the tech is. So that's sort of what we do here. But yeah, in a general sense, I mean, this is certainly if season 1 was like this, we would be like, cool, it's all right, it's good, it's a decent Trek.
Yeah.
It's not as well written as some Trek, but it's better than written than some Trek. So
I'd say it's by far the best Discovery episode we've seen so far. So
that's okay, that's interesting, and we'll talk about that in our live, because that's
a tease.
There we go. Okay, guys, this went long, so I'm going to edit some stuff out, and that's a note to you, Stuart, because it's way too long, but it's okay. And you close us out.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. And like we said, join us tonight, 5 Eastern Standard Time for our live. If you don't catch it live, don't worry. You can watch it later. We're going to hit each scene and talk about our notes, scene by scene, and also engage with you guys in the chat. So it's something you can watch after the fact. It's like a longer review. So
and unlike other lives that other YouTubers do, it's actually in a full LCARS, full graphics. It's exactly like a normal episode. just happens to be live with some audience interaction. So it's you should definitely watch it, and you guys did watch it from last week, so please do continue to watch the full breakdowns. They're definitely worth it, because we do really think it through a lot, and the visuals help. And I've got a great little moment I think you might have missed. One specific scene I'm going to want to show you and be like, look at this, look at this. So I'm eager to show you that bit. That's a tease for you all.
All right, then. So don't forget to hit like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and join us for the live if you can.
Yep.
And, click our link down below for cool Trekyards swag and all that stuff. Check out all the links. And, we'll see you later.
And Patreon, and youtube.trekyards.com. Nope, trekyards.com. And then donate button. It's all good. See you then. See you later, guys. Bye.
See you later, guys. Bye.